Joining us now on the Megacast as we're in the thick of the fall season, about to officially be autumn here in Michigan and in this hemisphere of the world. And that means it is cider mill season. One of our favorites is in the local area in Bloomfield Hills. It's the Franklin Cider Mill. And joining us now is Melanee Peltz Radner, one of the co-owners of the Franklin Cider Mill. Melanie, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So this is an interesting year because in the last couple of years, the Franklin Cider Mill, like many other cider mills, have been open, but their operations have been so different than they've traditionally been in the past, given the status of the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic not entirely over, but still in a much different place, and we're in a much safer place now than we were even a year ago. So what's different and what's a little bit more traditional this year at the Franklin Cider Mill?
So actually, when COVID happened, it actually opened up our ideas to expand the cider mill's outside festivities. So now that we did that in 2020, we have kept it going. So we now have a whole outside area open 7 days a week to purchase all your cider mill, cold cider, slushies, hot cider, and donuts. And then we also have our traditional inside to get the same exact product that you would be getting outside in our historical mill that is, the original mill that's been there since 1832.
And so with all those changes and some of those new traditions that came in, how did that add a new wrinkle to what Franklin Cider Mill traditions are, and how was the reaction to some of those sustaining traditions now but were sparked out of the pandemic?
So I actually think people are loving it more because when they come, we are like jamming and busy, but nobody feels the craziness of standing in lines for so long. Because now on the weekends, I have about 10 to 12 lines with unbelievable sales staff that I'm so lucky and fortunate to have, that people are going boom, boom, boom. So they're able to get their cider and donuts and go enjoy sitting by the river, talking, listening to our jazz music on the weekends, feeding the ducks. So I feel like people feel like they have more time to hang out and enjoy their Saturday or Sunday afternoons. And during the week, we're always, not as busy, but we do get busier, around lunchtime in the afternoons. But now that we've opened everything up, there's so many different places and spaces to go.
In terms of safety precautions, in the past couple of years, there have been distancing measures that have been put in place at your cider mill and others. So same thing with masking requirements. What is in place, if any, at this moment in time for this season?
So we do not require masks anymore. But what we did install when the pandemic was acrylic boards in between our sales staff and our customers. We kept those up. We could have taken them down. We opted not to. It's just a great, precautionary for people to feel safe still when they're talking to somebody face to face. If they don't have a mask on, there is that plexiglass in between them. And you know what? It's a little bit hard to hear people, but everyone just talks a little bit louder. And to me, that's good enough. And we have hand sanitizing stations still all around the cider mill to use if you need.
Another addition from the COVID-19 pandemic, Melanie, was the ability for people to order their cider and their donuts and their other treats from the Franklin Cider Mill online. Is that still something that's available in this, for lack of better terms, post-pandemic era we're in?
Yes, absolutely. You can still go to our franklincidermill.com or to your favorites online, and you can just pull up into our upper lot, which is off of Franklin Road. We have a little porch, and they walk on the porch, and someone is right there to give you your order. So you're in and out when you do that.
More information can be found on online ordering and other events and happenings at the Franklin Cider Mill by visiting their website, franklincidermill.com, franklincidermill.com for more information. Of course, their regular hours there can be found on their website as well, and online ordering information, franklincidermill.com. We're joined by Melanee Peltz Radner. She is a co-owner at the Franklin Cider Mill, joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. You also have some very, very fun events that are coming up there for additional fun at the cider mill this season, including monthly story times being offered at 10 a.m. by the iconic bridge there at the Franklin Cider Mill. Tell us about story time and why events like this were added to the docket this year at the Franklin Cider Mill.
Well, we actually brought the story time last year as like a trial, and families really love it. They love to come to the cider mill. Every month is a different theme, whether we talk about apples or ducks or donuts. They're giving information, they're giving recipes, they're giving coloring books. And one of our local librarians from the local Franklin Library comes and sits and reads a book, and the kids just kind of like relax and chill out. It's mellow at that time on a Saturday morning when they're doing it. So then once they're done, they're able to go feed the ducks, walk around, enjoy the music. We brought that in. We also have a lot of fun things now. We added an unbelievable tattoo artist that does full face painting, arm painting on Saturdays and Sundays. We have an unbelievable magician that does interaction magician with the crowd. So he has to make sure that everybody's involved and people are really loving him. And then, of course, we have our unbelievable cider dogs that are grilled to perfection right when you're there as well. And then we have our unbelievable guy by the name of John. And John does our jazz music. He does interactive singing. He does balloons, xylophone, and people really seem to enjoy him as well.
Yeah, much more fun and activity areas there are now more in place. Of course, as you mentioned, live mellow jazz by John Davis and Chris the Magician are there Saturdays and Sundays at the Franklin Cider Mill. Again, you can find more information on franklincidermill.com, franklincidermill.com for more information on all these fun stuff happening there. And there's also a lot of history at the Franklin Cider Mill that was a little bit reserved during the pandemic for safety reasons. What sort of inside looks are back this year at the Franklin Cider Mill, if any, that the community can enjoy when they go to this historic location in Bloomfield Hills?
So what we have now brought back is where people can now view the actual cider pressing itself as it's being done. That's also in our historical building where they come in the top parking lot. We actually put what times we're going to press. So if someone sees that it's not available, they'll come back. And they actually get to watch all of our apples get crushed and pressed and watch the actual process that goes into actually making our, iconic traditional cider that we always sell. That it's incredible.
It really is an interesting process to see. And what's great about the Franklin Cider Mill is it's also out in the open. If you're going inside to purchase some cider or donuts, you're seeing part of the process right there. Of course, there's another area down by the river that you can walk in and see some of the milling process as well. And that is something that is truly unique to the Franklin Cider Mill. Melanie, what other sort of changes have been made or been discussed going into this year to kind of enhance that community aspect of the cider mill? You've touched on it a few times, and it really does seem like the last few years haven't so much been a transition to how do we keep, not just a transition to how do we keep the business up and running and this tradition up and running, but how do we make it more of that community staple that it always has been, but really is something that is that draw, especially as we're coming out of the thick of the pandemic?
Well, I think a lot of it goes to our staff that we have. We have the returning staff that have been there since my grandfather and my father. And I think that we have made it such a fun environment that we are all one big happy family and a community in its own. So when people come to the cider mill, they feel the love, they feel the happiness, they feel the kindness, and people love that. And we also are very involved within, our downtown Franklin, other stores that are involved. We try to, give back to the community there at the library. They do a lot of art fairs there, vegetable fairs. And I think that we are all trying to be one big community to bring Franklin back to what it's always been, an incredible little, historical town.
Something that will excite a lot of people going back to the Franklin Cider Mill that come back year after year, generation after generation. Is this year at the return of hot dogs and cider dogs at the mill. Tell us about that, Melanie.
So our hot dogs and cider dogs have been, it's a hot dog, but we marinated in cider overnight. During the week, Monday through Friday, from 11 till 3, we actually are boiling them, making them, same exact hot dogs. We do lunch specials for people from work who just want to come get a lunch special, which they could get a hot dog, a bag of chips, and a glass of cider or a bottle of water. And on the weekends, we have our famous guy doing our grilling for us. And those people line up for their, jumbo beef hot dogs. They're unbelievable. People love them. And so that's really, I never thought that hot dogs would be such an iconic thing at the cider mill, but people really look forward to it and wait in line for it for a long time.
Again, you can find all the information you need on different events and happenings at the cider mill, as well as some of the history of the Franklin Cider Mill by visiting their website, franklincidermill.com, franklincidermill.com for more information. Joining us on today's edition of the Megacast is Melanee Peltz Radner, co-owner of the Franklin Cider Mill. Melanie, any other information that we should know or other things that are on the docket this year at the Franklin Cider Mill that are coming up, people might be excited about?
So we have a couple new specialty products that we are not releasing yet. So you're gonna have to come out. Probably this weekend will be its debut. And I feel that a lot of long lifetime customers and new customers are gonna be really excited about it. So you're gonna have to come out and see what that is. We also are gonna be doing some partnerships with some toyology and some companies for, Halloween, try to give back to the community that way. We'll have a lot of Halloween festivities that we'll be announcing soon as well. And we're just in Michigan State, and football and tailgates. Everybody, please come out and get your cider and donuts, bring it up to the tailgates. We are big football fans over there, and just go blue, go green, and whatever makes you happy. So yeah.
Everything happens at the corner of 14 Mile and Franklin in Bloomfield Hills. You can find more information. Again, franklincidermill.com. Their hours now through November 27th, the closing Sunday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Melanie, anything else for us before we let you go today?
No, we would just love to see all your smiling faces. Like I said, we are open 7 days a week. We have new products coming in every week. Plus, obviously, everybody is known for our, cold, unbelievable apple cider with all of our premium apples, our hot donuts that we are always serving hot, slushes, our hot cider that we have spiced to our, private spicing that we do, and our unbelievable market that we have outside with all Michigan-made products.
8 a.m. until 6 p.m. each and every day. More information and online ordering can be found at franklincidermill.com. Melanie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.